Anyone in the room that's walked away from the Democratic Party? Anybody? All right, I got a couple here. Well, we are really honored today to have with us the founder and the father of the walk-away movement. This is really historic, really special. This is something that has caught on all over the country, and you can understand why. But I don't want to disappoint you because this year's recipient of the American Patriot of the Year Award has chosen not to give a keynote address. Sorry. Instead, he's chosen to deliver you an explosive message. So be prepared to combust when you hear Brandon Straka. Come on up here, Brandon.
American Patriot of the Year, Brandon Straka.
Kaboom! I don't know how much more explosive I could get than Vicky. I don't really know if I can back that up. By the way, Vicky, I want to recruit you for the walkaway team. You've got exactly the energy and the passion that we're looking for. And I'm going to riff a little bit off of some of the things that Vicky said, too, because she made some really important points. One of the things that Phil asked me to say when I got to talk was, he said, we need to talk about, what are we going to do going into 2020? And I think to have that conversation, we have to have a really honest conversation, which means we're not just going to talk about the things that feel good. We're going to talk about the things we're doing wrong, right? We're going to talk about the things that we're going to change between now and 2020. But before we do, I would like everybody to just take a moment and raise a glass. Let's just raise a glass for a minute. Please. And I want you to repeat after me. To the end of the collusion delusion. Yes, yes, yes. And no obstruction either. No obstruction either. I actually got out just in time before the great collusion delusion. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my story because I'm not going to just assume that everybody knows who I am. But my name is Brandon Straka, and I started something called the Walkaway Campaign. And what that is a campaign for people that encourages people to take a good hard look at what's going on with the Democratic Party, with the liberal media, and the toxic ideology of liberalism, and walk as far away from it, if not run as far away from it as you can. So why did I do it? Why did I do it? Well, let's start at the beginning. I grew up in a tiny little town in Nebraska. I'm a gay man. And so the messages that I always got growing up were that Republicans hate gay people, that Republicans hate black people, that Republicans hate brown people, that they're racists and bigots and homophobes, what have you. I always got the messages that liberals were open-minded and tolerant, that they cared about all people, and that the Democratic Party was exactly the same, the party of all people, the forgotten, broken minority, small man in America. So I went along with that, without asking any questions, really. And my entire life, I always voted Democrat. Check, 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 D, D, D. If I had a D beside it, I just checked, I went in and I pulled the lever. Without question. Going into the 2016 election, I believed everything that the liberal media was telling me. They told me that Donald Trump was a racist and a bigot and a homophobe and that his followers were no better. But they also told me that I had nothing to worry about because they said he had a 3% chance of winning and that his followers were very, very few. So there was really nothing to be scared about. So on election day, I had a nervous breakdown because it was the greatest shock I think that a person could ever get. All of us on the left had already completely started celebrating the fact that Hillary Clinton was going to be the first woman president. And this is what liberal ideology kept telling us. We need a woman president. Doesn't matter what her values are, doesn't matter what she brings to the table, doesn't matter her character. She's a woman, this is what we need. Unless it's a conservative woman. They hated Sarah Palin. She wasn't welcome to be president. And so I was shocked when Donald Trump was elected president. But I was more than shocked. I was horrified. I was terrified. I was scared to death. And I kept asking myself, and asking on social media, how could anyone vote for this monster, this bigot, this racist? Like, what is the matter? What has happened to the soul and the fabric of America? What is, you know, I knew Republicans were bad people, but I didn't know you guys were that bad. And I kept going on social media, and I kept asking, and nobody would answer me. And then finally, in January of 2017, about 2 months after the election, I went on social media, on Facebook, and I posted a proclamation that I would never be able to understand how anybody could vote for a man who stood before a cheering crowd and mocked a reporter's disability. And finally, somebody answered me. It was a woman named Diane, who was my babysitter when I was a baby. She and I had many fights over the years on Facebook because she was a staunch Christian conservative. We had many, many battles over many issues. But she reached out to me privately and said, listen, I'm not trying to start a fight with you. I'm not trying to start a problem. I'm just asking, have you seen this? And she gave me a link to a YouTube video entitled Debunking the Trump Mocked the Disabled Reporter. Now, I saw just the title of the video, and that liberal inside of me was just almost gleeful and excited about watching it, so I could then write her back and tell her how stupid she was for falling for this, Fox News brainwashing right-wing propaganda. And I pushed play on the video. And what I saw next was a compilation of footage showing Donald Trump doing that exact same voice and that exact same gesture numerous times over numerous years in numerous circumstances. But the commonality was he was imitating someone who had been caught in a lie, or somebody who was doing something shady, somebody who had been caught doing something dishonest. And I had it felt like a dissociation from my body. There was a disconnect between my brain and my heart. Because my brain said to me, oh my God, I don't think he mocked that reporter's disability. But my heart said, but we hate him, but we hate him, but we hate him. And I was having trouble reconciling this within myself. So I went to bed, and I just kind of put it to rest. And the next day I got up and I watched the video again. And it was very clear to me. He did not mock that reporter's disability, but this didn't make any sense to me. Because CNN told me that he did. And they had never lied to me before. So what went wrong that day? I can't figure that out. So I started asking other liberals and other New Yorkers, same thing. Okay, so I started asking everyone I knew I started asking everybody I knew, what do you make of this? What do you make of this? And I was instantly met with this wall of hostility and contempt. People started attacking me and said, so what, now you love Donald Trump? What are you doing? What are you doing? And it quickly became apparent to me that these people didn't want to feel better. They didn't want to find out that maybe this guy wasn't falling after all. They wanted to be angry. And this was absolutely fascinating to me because I legitimately wanted to understand. And I legitimately wanted to feel better. Now, I spent the next couple of months getting into bed at night and watching YouTube videos and reading and trying to find out anything I could find out about, does the media lie? And what is going on? And I found out fascinating things. I found videos of black people who went to Trump rallies to support him, and when they showed up, CNN cut them out of the shot so that they could then report that it was a whites-only rally, another racist KKK rally for Donald Trump. And this was just mind-blowing to me. I had absolutely no idea that this is something that really happened, something that was going on. And so eventually, I started kind of investigating the conservative point of view and what was true and what wasn't true. And what I found out was that I think deep down, the majority of me had probably always been a conservative all along, but as a gay man, the message that I always received is, you must be a liberal. You must be a Democrat. And it's not just me. It's black people. It's brown people. It's Jewish people. It's anybody who isn't essentially a straight white American gets this message pounded in them time and time again by the Democratic Party and by the liberal media. You don't have a choice. You don't have the opportunity to participate in the democratic process of America the way that anybody else does, because everybody else on the right hates you. They don't want you. You don't have a seat at the table, at the Republican table. You don't have a seat at the table as a conservative unless you are a heterosexual white person in America. Well, that's bullshit. And so, by the end of 2017, I had reconciled within myself, oh my God, I'm a conservative. And In early 2018, I changed my registration to the Republican Party. I wanted to speak out about what I had discovered and what I was encountering on a day-to-day basis as a new conservative and a Republican in New York City. As a gay man, I've already done the closet before. I've lived that lifestyle. I've hung my head in shame, and I've allowed other people to create the narrative of what was true and not true about me, and most of the time it wasn't true. I thought, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to do this again, and I'm not going to allow it to happen to anybody else either. I'm going to create a campaign that fights back against the liberal media machine and fights back against all the lies of the Democratic Party. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it, but one day I was out jogging. I love to run, and that's usually when I sort of have that connection to God, higher power, the universe, whatever anyone calls it. Well, you're Republicans, you call it God. Okay. Sorry, that was like still the liberal in me. There's still like little corners in my brain where I'm like, okay. I was out jogging one day, and these words flashed in my brain like a lightning bolt. I heard the words, "Once upon a time, I was a liberal," and a speech just wrote itself in my brain. And I ran right back home, and I wrote it all down. It took me less than 30 minutes to write it from beginning to end. And I shot a video, a 6-minute video, what I call the definitive manifesto of everything that's wrong with liberalism and the Democratic Party. And I put it out on social media. And I encouraged other people to make their videos as well, because I knew I was not the only person feeling this way. There must be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who also are feeling so alienated and so pushed away by the fringe, extremist, violent, vitriolic ideology of liberalism that has been embraced by the Democratic Party and propagated by the liberal media. And so I put my video out, and I called it the Walkaway Campaign, and I encouraged other people to make their videos as well, and they did. The videos started coming in by the tens, but then by the hundreds, and then by the thousands. The campaign started on Facebook, now has over 400,000 Patriots who have joined this campaign on all social media platforms. We have tens of thousands of written and video testimonials. And what I am most proud of is, this is not a campaign that tells people what, we're not telling people to walk away from groupthink and walk into another groupthink. We don't do that. We don't tell people where to go or what to do. I became a Republican, nobody else has to if they don't want to. But what we say is that walkaway is a journey, not a destination. Meaning, you can become an independent, you can become a libertarian, you can become a Republican. The most important thing is, for God's sake, think for yourself. Start thinking for yourself. Stop being defined by your gender, by your skin color, by your sexual orientation. Now, this is where I want to riff a little bit on what Vicky was saying earlier. Because I've heard people say tonight, the Democrats, they do this, they do this, they do this. Why on earth are anybody still voting for these people? Why are they still voting for these people? That's a great question. Because their policies suck. They suck. And conservative policies are great, but guess what? Democrats are talking to these people, and Republicans are not, at all. There's a very erroneous belief, and I think it's embraced largely by the Republican Party, that black people will only listen to black people. Do you want to make a bet? Do you want to make a bet? Black people love good ideas just as much as any other person does. I love you, Chris. Yeah, I do. LGBT people love good ideas just as much as any other person. Hispanic Americans, immigrants, brown people love good ideas. Unfortunately, they never get to hear them, because they're told time and time again that they don't belong on the right. And there is for people who don't want a wall, boy, they've done a good job of putting a wall up around minorities in this country. American minorities have been quarantined. It is an intellectual quarantine that is taking place in minority communities in America. And these people need to get the message. And the Walkaway Campaign is breaking that wall down, brick by brick by brick by brick, and I will not stop until we break through completely. This week, the Walkaway campaign has 2 events in New York City. For the first time ever, nothing like this has ever happened before. I, a white man, am throwing the Walkaway Harlem Town Hall for the black community in Harlem. Let's just take a moment to just address a few basic policy differences between 2 parties without making any moral judgments about them. Let's remove emotion and morality from this for a moment. One party embraces abortion to the point of a woman going into labor. Okay, well that was a little emotional, come on. One party does not. One party embraces a welfare state. One party does not. Now I could go on and on and on. 90% of black Americans are voting Democrat. And yet, 38% of black children are living in poverty. 40% of all government assistance cases are black Americans. 73% of black mothers are single mothers. 36% of all aborted children are black children. And try wrapping your mind around this for a second. More black babies are aborted in New York City than born alive. That is a fact. That's a fact. 90% of black people are voting Democrat. Those are Democrat policies. The Democrats have decimated that community, and that community keeps coming back because Republicans aren't talking to them. They have no idea that there is a better way. This Wednesday in Harlem, the Walkaway campaign is throwing the Walkaway Harlem Town Hall. We have made a 35-minute documentary film called The Great Awakening, Breaking the Chains of the Democratic Party. It is created using 20 walkaway testimonials of black Americans who have walked away from the Democratic Party. We have made it into a documentary film. We have raised the money, and everyone can come completely for free. It is at the AMC Magic Johnson Theater in Harlem. It seats 275 people. I am flying in panelists from around the country, some of the greatest black conservative voices. We are going to literally fill that theater full of Harlem citizens and have an honest conversation. Why the hell are you still voting Democrat? Mom, can I have my phone? I need to read you something quickly. Thank you. The very next day, we're throwing the first ever Walkaway LGBT Town Hall. That's this coming Thursday. We are throwing it at the, we were throwing it at the LGBT Center in New York City, another event completely for free that we raised the funds for. When it was discovered that we were throwing an LGBT town hall, liberal progressives formed a mob and contacted their media, who will do their bidding at the snap of a fingers. They started reporting stories that we are a white supremacist hate group, that we are homophobic, transphobic, every other phobic that you can imagine, and they've started a petition. And I'd like to read to you just the first couple paragraphs of the petition that they put out. This was signed by some of the most high-power, influential, including the Democratic Socialist Party, signed this petition. It says, "We were upset to learn that the center is renting space to a far-right campaign called #WalkAway for a town hall on March 28th. We are writing to demand the center cancel this event immediately, as it poses a clear and present danger to the safety of all our queer communities in New York City. The speakers booked for March 28th town hall: Brandon Straka, that's me; Blair White, that's a transgender woman; Rob Smith, that's a black gay man; and Mike Harlow, that's a Jewish gay man, espouse openly white supremacist views. They are violently anti-immigrant, racist, sexist, and queer-phobic." It goes on and on and on. "The center buckled and canceled our event. They don't want LGBT Americans to know that they don't have to be socialists. They don't have to be communists. They don't have to go along with a toxic political party and a toxic ideology that tells them time and time again that they are victims, that they cannot succeed in America, that they are oppressed just by virtue of the fact that they exist. Perhaps we could argue if that was ever true, but it is not true in 2019. And my God, can't my community be allowed to have this conversation anyway? Can't the black community be allowed to get this message? The same group that got the LGBT town hall canceled is now actively trying to get the Harlem town hall canceled. This is a group of extremist, leftist, white people who want to go into a black neighborhood and prevent black people from being able to learn that they don't have to be Democrats. Where's the conservative media?
Where?
The liberal media sprung into action immediately and got our event closed down. Where the hell is the conservative media? Where the hell is the Republican Party? Where are you guys? On October 27th, I threw a march on Washington. The walkaway march on Washington. Hardworking patriots from around the country contributed $20, $30 at a time until we raised $250,000 to throw a spectacular march on Washington. We had every type of American there. We had gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, we had black, we had white, we had brown, we had every type of American there in unity and solidarity, coming together. Not a single word from Fox News. Not a single word from anyone in the media. It was never reported. It was probably the most spectacular event of 2018 that nobody read about. Nobody saw anything on television about. And, well, there was one person who talked about it. The day of our march, Donald Trump tweeted, #walkaway. Walk away from the Democrat Party movement marches today in DC. Congratulations to Brendan Straka for starting something very special. Thank you. Before our march, we hadn't heard a word from the RNC at a statewide level, at a federal level, nothing, not a single word. Thousands of people walking away from the Democratic Party, thousands, making their testimonials. I got a call from somebody in the RNC shortly before the March on Washington saying, "We love what you're doing. How can we help you?" I said, "Thank you. We've been waiting." I explained to him the March on Washington that was happening. I explained to him that our organization was grassroots. We're getting by on a wing and a prayer. We're getting by the contributions, $20, $30 at a time from people who don't even have $20 or $30 to be contributing, but they love this country so much, they're willing to forego a movie with their children so that they can contribute to this campaign, when there are a lot of people who could contribute a lot more than that who are doing nothing. And they said, "Great, this sounds great. We're going to get back to you because we really want to help. We really want to help." I got a call about 1 week before the March on Washington saying to me, "Great news. We're going to give you $1,000. And I said, well, I'm not going to tell you what I said, but I said, "Are you kidding?" And he said, "Well, what? I said, "Well, just so you're aware, $1,000 is our lowest level corporate sponsorship. We have mom and pop shops that have given us more money than that. We're putting all our sponsors on our commemorative t-shirt. So do you want me to put the RNC at the very bottom of the t-shirt so that black people and brown people and LGBT people can see that you care $1,000 worth, that they're walking away from the Democratic Party?" Sorry guys, I mean, really, I know that some of this isn't easy to hear, but if you want to win an election, you gotta change. I mean, I could sit here and blow smoke up your ass about how amazing everyone is, but we're gonna lose. The Walkway campaign is working, and we have connected with these different communities. And listen, I don't quit. They shut my event down. I went out and I found another space, and I'm gonna raise the money for it too. It's gonna cost us about $7,000 to do the new space for the LGBT town hall. I'm not worried about it. We're gonna raise that money. I do not quit. I will never quit. And in fact, the more they come at me, the more it just makes me want to go harder and harder and harder and harder. Their resistance and their interference only makes me sharper and faster and better, and I will not quit, I can promise you that. But I can't do it alone. I can't do it alone, especially when I can't even get the media to care when our event gets shut down, you know? So we've got to do this together, you guys. First of all, don't let anyone tell you that because of the color of your skin, you can't go up to somebody else who has a different color of skin and say, "Hey, let's have a conversation about how your life could be better. Let's talk about a party that has turned your community into basically living in third world conditions, and a party that wants to empower you as an individual to live your best possible life, that doesn't tell you that you are a victim, that tells you that you have the power within you to change your life and everything that you want to be in the United States of America. I think, am I at an hour now? Where are we? I do this, I'm sorry. I really, really encourage everybody, listen, whether it's getting involved with Walk Away campaign, or whether it's just insisting that the RNC do better and change and do more. It's not enough to conduct business as usual, because yes, the Democratic Party is lousy, and they are liars, and they are connivers, and they are vitriolic, and they are violent, and they are socialist, and they are horrible. But they are talking to these people, and they're making them feel good, and everybody likes to feel good. Everybody likes to feel like they are being looked out for and they're welcome. There's just one problem. They're lying. They're lying to these people. They are talking to them until they go into that booth and they vote, and then they don't give a damn about them again until it's time to vote again. We can and will do better. I love you, Vicky. Really, I really do. And you've got exactly the spirit and the passion that is exactly right on the money. I love this country. I love this country as a conservative. My God, I never thought I would ever say those words. Never. But I do, and I'm fearful. I'm fearful when a mob of leftists can activate like that and get the media behind them, and within hours shut down my event so that an entire community never gets another message, just constantly is stuck again in this intellectual quarantine. That's horrifying. Horrifies me. I need your help. I need your help. I need the media's help. I need people to participate. So I'm encouraging all people, walkawaycampaign.com. Whether you want to volunteer, whether you want to donate, whether you want to write to politicians and say, hey, RNC, there's something really exciting going on here. There's a movement that's speaking to minorities in America, and they're listening. Call them. Call the Walk Away campaign on the phone. Get involved. There's so much more we can do. I believe that we will save this country. I think we have a commander-in-chief that was sent to us by God. I think that God is actually putting rebels into positions of power right now. I think that God thought it would be really funny to say, I'm going to make Donald Trump president. I think he thought it was going to be really funny to say, I'm going to make this gay man in charge of a conservative movement. But it's working! I love you all. But please, when you leave here today, don't just sit around and talk about like, oh, that was a really nice. You guys, we've got to get into action. We've got to work. We must work. We're up against a lot here. That liberal media machine is out of control. And the identity politics and the way that they have gripped minority communities is out of control. And it's not just minority communities too. I mean, they have their idiot white people ally group that's, they've got them too. We've got to get all these people to walk away. You want me to shut up, don't you? Everybody, hashtag walk away! Walkawaycampaign.com.